It is shameful that this country in 2025 finds itself in this cycle of crisis. The last Conservative government failed to reckon with the reality of a rising prison population. When Labour was last in government, we increased prison capacity by 28,000 places. In their 14 years in power, the Conservatives added just 500 additional places, leaving our prisons on the brink of collapse.
Robert Jenrick, her opposite number, attacked Labour for reducing the deterrent against committing crime.
Should somebody go to jail for sexual assault, for headbutting or beating up their partner, for beating up an 81-year-old pensioner? What about nicking 16 grand from a company or shoplifting 36 times, breaking a man's jaw? What about breaking into a home with a knife or roaming the streets of a town centre with a knife? I think each and every one of these people should end up in jail, like here at HMP Wandsworth. But Keir Starmer disagrees. He's planning to scrap short sentences, and people like this would be roaming our streets.
Reform UK's Justice Advisor Vanessa Frake, who is a former prison governor, said it was absolutely not the right way to go.
They've let 10,000 prisoners out of jail early. To let criminals out of jail before they even serve their full sentence is a disgrace. They have ignored the concerns of the police, probation, prison officers and the public, whose communities will bear the brunt of criminality. Establishment politicians have pretended as if Britain isn't lawless. We all know it is. I want a tougher prison regime for prisoners who will never be rehabilitated. I look at the supermax prisons in America, and I'd like to see a version of that replicated in Britain. I would like to see a government that grabs the bull by the horns, and I believe Reform UK, with Nigel Farage as Prime Minister, would be that government. He is the leader this country needs to make Britain a safer and more secure place to live.
Former police detective Mike Neville criticised the government for this policy, saying ordinary Brits will now suffer a crime wave.
Labour have been accused of taking the side of criminals, and ministers are pressing ahead with the abolition of most short-term prison sentences.
Yeah, under the proposed reforms, tens of thousands of offenders, including shoplifters, thugs and sex offenders, could avoid jail in an effort to ease prison overcrowding.
With new Home Office data revealing nearly 800 shoplifting offences go unsolved every day, questions are mounting. Will these sentences changes help fix overcrowding or actually put the public at risk?
Well, joining us now to discuss this is the former Scotland Yard Detective Chief Inspector Mike Neville. Mike, good afternoon to you. I mean, it's pretty concerning, I think, perhaps, when the public sees this story at face value and sees that prisoners, well, criminals, are not going to be punished by being locked up and their key thrown away. They're still going to be out and about in society.
Well, absolutely. And it's never the people who make these decisions, the ministers and politicians and lawyers, the establishment, who have to live with these people. It's often people who live in the poor areas, the council estates, who have to put up with these evil people who steal, rob, rape, commit antisocial behaviour, steal from the local shop. They're the ones who have to put up with it. And the government often promise things like, we'll do tagging. So I looked at tagging. Only about 20% of tag breaches have any action. And that action could be, don't do it again. You don't get arrested straight away. Or we'll have unpaid hours. So again, in a year, there was 1 million unpaid hours which hadn't been done. So the criminals are just laughing at the system, and we're all punished because of it.
But I mean, the problem, lots and lots of research has shown that short prison sentences under 12 months often end up with criminals going in for something like shoplifting and coming out as sort of crack-addicted drug smugglers, because prison makes things worse.
It's a load of rubbish. They've got to commit 50 offences before they get there in the first place. We've been told by these clever experts time and time again about this. But some these criminals, they don't hang around with nice nuns and monks outside. They hang around with the same scallywags on the street as they do in prison. So these short sentences, they provide a relief to the people who have to live amongst them. And that relief has been taken away, and it's the normal, average working people who have to put up with this misery. People will continue to shoplift if there is no punishment for it. If you lock people up, they can't steal from shops, they can't break into your house, and they can't assault you. And what I've known, I dealt with criminals on a daily basis as a detective inspector in charge of criminals who gave information. And the one thing I know they fear is being locked away. They don't fear tags, they don't fear community punishments, they fear being locked up and their liberty taken away. And the government keeps saying, oh, we inherited a broken system. Well, they've had a year to sort it out. If I'd been in charge for a year, I would have built several camps with a bit of barbed wire around them and a dog to keep low-level shoplifters in and things like that. We need more prison places. We don't need more prisoners released.
So is that what your response to the government would be? Because they have said this morning that without further action, i.e. starting these community sentences rather than putting people in prison, we will run out of prison places within months. The courts would have to therefore halt trials and the police would have to cancel arrests. So even if they could have done what you were suggesting in the last year, at this moment in time, they don't have a choice, do they?
It's an utter failing then, isn't it? We've been failed by politicians of the main parties. The Tories had 14 years to build more prisons. Labour have had a year to build more prisons. Some of these prison places will be easily made. Take over an old army camp, put some barbed wire around it, as I say, get some guys with a few dogs, and we could lock some people up. But the solution to just keep releasing people is madness. And also what happens is they just load more work on the police. Because who is going to check that the tag when it's been breached? Who is going to make sure that the unpaid hours are done? It's going to be loaded onto the prisons, to the police service and also the probation service, who already say they're overwhelmed. So none of these things will be enforced. So the prisons will be able to do what they like and just inflict more misery on communities.
Yeah, and the government is increasing the number of probation officers, or says it plans to. So in your view, Mike, is prison about punishment rather than rehabilitation, and also punishment and keeping the public safe rather than rehabilitation?
If we can rehabilitate people, that's all to the good. But sometimes it is about punishment. And also, as I've said, it provides a relief for the people who have to live with these characters who just inflict misery on communities. They're entitled to a break. I think on the porridge it said a well-earned rest from their activities. That's what we need.
But are there actually some people who, because in some prisons in the UK, some of the lesser security prisons, some people are living quite a nice life. And we heard when lots of these prisoners were released early under the Labour government, actually policy inherited from the Conservatives. But lots of these people committed offences. Some of them actually talked about wanting to go back into prison. Is it really the punishment that you're suggesting?
Well, I've never heard of anybody wanting to go back into prison, apart from some tramp who hasn't got any food or anything like that. I'd like to meet the criminals you're meeting who tell you they want to go back to prison, because I've never met them.
There are plenty of interviews with them.
Let's get back to how it was. Let's make punishment in prison and let's make communities safer. There are people on the streets who are called hyper-prolific criminals with 50 or 100 previous convictions. That means really they've committed thousands upon thousands of crime, because only about 1% of the thefts, for example, ever gets solved. So these people are just misery inflictors and they need to be dealt with.
Well, that's the point, Mike. Even before they get to court, these criminals, and get convicted and put in prison, the police have to catch them first. And if they're not even attending shoplifting crime reports and all the rest of it, the chances are they're not going to be caught and therefore not going to be put in prison anyway.
Well, this is a real issue, isn't it? And it really flags up this idea of broken Britain, that all of us who obey the law, we go to the shop, we pay for our goods, we behave and we don't break into other people's houses or attack people. What's happening now is people are going to look at this and think, why shouldn't I steal things? Because everybody else who steals something, they just simply get away with it. And then that society starts to break down. And what they see is that even if somebody's caught stealing, and at a time people used to sort of conceal things, didn't they, under the jacket or something. Now they walk into the shop, they fill the shopping basket full of several bottles of whiskey and simply walk out. And other people see this and they think, why shouldn't I do that? And that's when society starts to fray and break down.
Yeah, we just saw those videos on our screens, Mike. I don't know if you saw of those. Well, they look like teenagers to me, ripping computers and TVs out of an electronics store and just running out the store.
So depressing. Yeah. My local Tesco bacon is now locked in a plastic box to stop people stealing it. Bacon.
Yeah, but I bought some chicken dippers in the New Forest for my daughter, and the chicken dippers had an electronic tag on them.
What are we doing?
The chicken dippers were a sign of broken Britain to me.
Well, it's chicken dippers, definitely. And on that note, thank you very much, former Scotland Yard Detective Chief Inspector Mike Neville.